Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you're listening to the podcast Capturing Magic. I'm Bill Rogers, the voice of Disney. Thanks very much for listening.
Hey everyone, welcome to Capturing Magic. I am Steph, and I am here today with Heather Winfield, who can be found at heatherw.character.com, heatherw.com/character. There, we got it. Hi, Heather.
Hi.
We also have joining us today Tanya Hickman, who can be found at everymagicmoment.com. Hi, Tanya.
Hello.
And we have joining us today Stephanie Haining, who can be found at hainingmade.com. Hi, Stephanie.
Hello.
Thanks for being here, everyone. I'm so excited. Okay. Well, I don't know anything about this topic today, so I'm really glad to have all of you
you're
here.
Excited for the wrong reasons.
I know, right? I'm excited to be recording. I'm excited to be talking about Disney. I don't even care if it is running in Disney. I'm happy to be talking about it. Okay. So we're talking about some changes that Disney has made to the Run Disney races as far as memory keepers would be concerned. Right?
Yes.
Okay. And so tell me, I would first want to start with what everybody has participated in, because I've not done any Run Disney events. So let's hear, Tanya, first from you. What have you done?
Yes. I've over the past couple years, I've done a couple 5Ks and a couple 10Ks.
Okay. Heather.
I
have done a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
I've done
break out the list.
28, I think, or 27.
Races?
Yeah, Run Disney races. I've done 14 Run Disney race weekends.
What?
And I've done 9 Run Disney halves.
Okay, because I think when we recorded our very first Run Disney show ever, you hadn't done any yet, had you?
No, I had done maybe around
2 or 3
races. I hadn't done any halves.
Okay.
Because I remember we were talking and I was looking forward to my first half. So I hadn't done that one yet, but I had done several 10Ks and a couple of 5Ks. So I'd probably done something like 5-ish races. I wasn't like totally crazy like I am now.
Hey, if you got to be crazy about something, I guess running's not a bad thing.
True.
Well, it's when you get injured and
until you get injured.
That's been my last 6 months, but
right.
Otherwise it's
yes. Okay, Stephanie.
I did just the Tinkerbell half marathon this past May.
Yay. Okay.
Yeah. First time I ever did a long race for any race type thing, not just Run Disney. So I just went bigger, big home and went with the full half marathon.
Yeah, I slowly moved up. I did a 5K, then a 10K, then a half, and you're just like, jump right in.
Yeah, I just jumped in the deep end of the pool and had no idea what I was doing.
Okay, that's good for you, Stephanie. And you survived. You lived to tell about it.
I did. I think that's why I did, because I had no idea what I was getting.
I gotta admire that, I must say.
The day before, at breakfast the day before, I was getting the serious butterflies. And my husband was like, "What are you so concerned about? What do you, and it wasn't that I hope I do well, because I know that train had long since left. I just want to make a fool of myself. It was one of those "what have I gotten myself into" moments.
Yeah.
And then I kind of, was just, because I'm not an athlete at all. So I was kind of like, do I even have any idea of what I am doing? And, I don't want to ruin it for other people, kind of a thing. So
it's the first one's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
No, they're all nerve-wracking. I still think that every time.
Heather literally still wants to throw up every morning. She goes out.
Really?
Yeah, every time I get my bagel, to eat beforehand, and I can eat one bite of it, and then I'm
one bite.
too nervous.
I don't feel good, and I'm like, just go, be fine, just go.
That was me the day before. The morning of, I was totally fine. I got up, I got myself dressed, I was excited, walking over with all the other people, I'm going to follow, the fairies and the tiger lilies, because obviously I'm in the right direction. But apparently my husband said that as soon as I closed the door to our hotel room, he got nervous.
Aw.
So that's cute.
He said that's when he started getting he didn't want me to be disappointed if I couldn't finish, and he didn't want me to get hurt, and so that's when he said he really started getting nervous for me. And then, but I was totally fine. At that point, I was like, let's go have some fun.
The only time I get nervous is that I'm not going to, after Heather leaves the room, that I'm not going to wake up in time to go get pictures of her. She's going to yell at me. Oh, God, I got to go. I got to get ready now.
Yeah. So that's why we did the, I had set up the Runkeeper app so that he could follow me. So he did fall back to sleep after I went and then got up. He said around 6:30 or 7. And that was, I guess, when I was leaving the park onto the long stretch of Anaheim. And he said that he got up and started tracking me through that and then was like, okay, she's doing this.
Oh, that's good.
I'll have to provide a link. One of a friend, when Heather was running, sent me a link off of, I think it's runDisney site somewhere. I had never seen this before, but they have real-time tracking.
I know that I signed up for the chip, and so he got texts when I hit the starting line.
Yeah.
When I hit the 5K, the 10, different marks, and then gave him a heads up as to my estimated time, barring any catastrophe.
Yeah,
that's when I would cross the finish line.
That I always do that one, but this one was completely different. Like if you look at the site, like you can see like them actually like going like when they hit each like not even just the 5K and 10K. It's like literally every 0.1 mile. Like you could see it moving down. So I could see when she stopped for a character because it would stop moving. And then it would like start going again, and I'm like, okay, she's still alive. We're good.
Yeah, because
funny.
This one I really wasn't sure because I'd been injured and hadn't been able to run, and so I was really nervous. And I was talking with friends on Twitter and everything, and so I would have people texting me like, "Oh yeah, that last mile, like your pace was really good." And I'm thinking, I wasn't posting. Like, what are they talking about? And it wasn't until after the race that Tanya told me this, and I thought, oh, that's really cool because I'd never heard that before. So
yeah, I had never.
The tracking thing was different this time when we had to sign up, so maybe it's new.
Yeah,
I don't know if now on or whatever, but.
All right, Steph. We can get to the photo. We can get to the character the photos now.
Okay. No, that's good. It all helps. It's all part of documenting the your event and your running and all of that stuff. It's all good. Okay, so PhotoPass now has made changes where it used to be a third-party company that would come in and do.
Yeah, it's called Marathon Photo.
Yeah, and they would do photos of the races for all of the runners. And was it just at the finish line?
No, it was throughout the whole race, and they do a lot of other races too. Because I actually have them from other non-Disney. I have done non-Disney races. I know it's a shock, but they're usually the ones that do those other races. But yeah, they're along the course, mostly in the park, and but at the finish line and. There's a couple, obviously differences that we'll talk about, but
yeah. Okay, so now it's PhotoPass that's in there doing the race photos.
Yeah, when I did the Tinkerbell, it sounded like that was the first one that they had done, or at least the first.
It
one
was the second one. Yeah, it was the first Disneyland one, and it was.
And so I knew nothing different, and from what I heard from other people. They thought they really were impressed. They liked that because especially with the tie-in to your PhotoPass.
Yeah, it's really. Well, not to like bash on Marathon Photo, but I didn't like the way the photos turned out with Marathon Photo. Like, I don't know, they just weren't high quality enough for what you were going to pay for them if you wanted them.
Yeah, that's the thing. The pictures themselves, I noticed. See, the first one that they did it for was the Star Wars Dark Side race at Disney World, and I did that one. And I didn't do Tinkerbell, but then I did the Disneyland half. So I've done two of them and one at each park. So I don't know if some of the differences I saw at Disneyland is this, that they're like working out the kinks, or if those are going to be differences at Disney World and Disneyland like usual, But the Star Wars Dark Side one, there was a lot of kinks. Like it kind of completely shut down PhotoPass on either post. It was because they have to go in and they take it from your bib number. So the code that you put into the site is they give the code in the guide and then on the back of the bib, and it's like the year and the race and the length of the race and then your bib number. So you put that in, and it I guess I don't know how they were tagging it or whatever when they were doing it there, and it took forever to get the pictures, and some weren't found. And like I said, the whole regular PhotoPass system crashed. But I don't think that happened with Tink, and it didn't happen with the Disneyland half. So,
and they were pretty
hopefully
good.
It's better. But there has been a couple of differences, but the quality of the pictures themselves, I noticed that they had a lot of lights where they didn't have that for marathon photo, and so the picture would be kind of dark. But I have pictures like down Main Street when it was still dark out and it looks light because they had such huge lights.
Okay.
And
they were also in like little like pop tents too.
yeah, green tents so you could see them. The Disney World, they actually had a green balloon also.
Yeah,
So you
the
could-
Tinkerbell, they had the balloon.
Oh, they did?
They were
Okay.
like little pop tents.
Yeah, I'm wondering. So I didn't know if the balloon was a Disney World, Disneyland thing, or maybe they just now they're because they didn't have balloons at the Disneyland half. So
Okay,
I don't
let
know.
me get the timeline on this. Tell me when all of these races were, please. I know Tinkerbell was just Labor Day weekend.
Mother-
Memorial.
No, it was
sorry,
May.
Memorial.
Yeah.
Mother's Day weekend.
Mother's. Oh,
Yeah, this-
sorry. Okay,
Stop trying.
stop trying, really, because I'm just losing. Okay, tell me.
The Star Wars Dark Side races were in April, so it was like a month before the Tinkerbell race. And
It's just a couple of weeks. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
and then the Disneyland half was just Labor Day weekend.
Okay.
So the thing that I think what they should have done is they should have just tested it on one race. So they maybe like the 5K from Star Wars, and then like maybe the next time do it for the whole race. But when they did it for all the races, I think that's what kind of really threw them off. Because they would have on that first race, I saw there were PhotoPass like higher ups, and they were telling the ones what to do. And so there was a lot of times that I noticed they weren't taking pictures or they were changing settings, and they shouldn't have. Because like I was in line for the Spaceship Earth picture and it was dark out, and then the one told the photographer to change the settings to day, and I'm thinking that's not going to come out, and of course it didn't come out. I think they were really doing a lot of on the job learning there.
Yeah.
So I didn't see a lot of those things at the Disneyland one, which was good. And so I'm hoping it's over time and it's fixed and it's not just a Disney World, Disneyland thing.
I was pretty impressed. I had to call them. It was one of those, let me give it a shot type thing, because I wanted to see if there was better finish line photos of me, because I had like the most anticlimactic photos at the finish line, and so they were really good. They went and they found some others, and there wasn't any like me looking excited. Part of it is because my husband and son were at the 13-mile mark. So I was all excited to see them. And that was kind of like my finish line. I was like, oh, there they are. And they had a sign. And, I was waving to them. And then I was taking a picture of the finish line. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, there's Mickey. And then I was frantically trying to turn off my tracker that I look like I am madly texting at the end of the race.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've had, right now I make myself not do that, but like when I would go to stop my thing, and so that's when they would take the pictures, I'd have all these pictures of me looking down, like, no.
Dang.
Yeah, so I was like, oops. And then, of course, my husband didn't take a picture of me. I took a picture of them with the sign, except, I lined it up and then I was running. So when I had lined up, and then when I actually hit the snapped the camera, a big old pole jumped in front of them, just randomly. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
So I called them to see if I could find, more photos, and I gave them my number, and then they went back and, they said, give it 24 to 48 hours. And they went back and they found a couple more, and I give them credit for, they could have just as easily said, yeah, no, we didn't find anything, but they did find some and post them to my account. So.
And meanwhile, I'm still missing pictures.
I know.
And that was some, yeah. That's the thing. It's pretty much one of the few things that I miss from Marathon Photo is that they used to have a unidentified photos link. Yeah. And so there were like, you would look through thousands of pictures, and I would do that because
Yeah, of course you would.
But I always found several pictures. I mean, there was always at least one character picture missing, which, for me is, like the ballistic thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would find that pictures, along the route, and like, I don't remember all the times where the photographers are while I'm running. I'll remember when I stop for something, but not those kinds of pictures, because they're out there when you're like action pictures,
Right.
So those I don't always remember. And so I would look through every single thing, and I always found several. And so they don't have that here. And so I do wish there was some way to be able to look through it. because like I said, with that Star Wars one, I was going back and forth with them for weeks, and they'd say, give us 7 days, and then, it was like another 7 days, and they found some, because I had no pictures at first, so they found some of them, but I knew there had to be more, but that's like all they gave me. So I know with this race, I'm missing the character picture, of course, one that the guy took on my camera from the side, so I really need it. But we haven't even heard back from them yet. So, and that was,
I had to email about a bunch of PhotoPass photos that were missing from our trip, and I have heard back about all the normal PhotoPass photos, but I haven't heard back about any runDisney photos. So I don't know if they go to somewhere separate, or what the deal is with there, or if they're just completely overwhelmed with people trying to find photos.
I know that one of the running groups that I was on Facebook from the Tinkerbell, people would post a bunch of their photos, like if there was good shots of people in the background, and say, if this is you, here you go. So it was kind of an informal, unclaimed picture.
That's always nice.
So were you guys happy with the amount of photos that you ended up with, Stephanie?
I was, but then I have, no
frame of
basis
reference
of comparison. Yeah. But I was really happy. And then, for the most part, I thought there were some really great ones. They're fun.
What about you, Heather? Tell me, especially comparing the two, since you've done.
Yeah, I think it sort of depends on the race. Some of them I have ones, but like I said, I still feel there's ones that I'm missing. I just don't know it, because it definitely, I didn't buy every picture when I would do that, but I would always buy the half or the challenge ones. So comparing, I usually would have more before. One of the things that I noticed, or unless it's just me, but I've had 6 races with the PhotoPass, so that would be really bad luck. But they used to have at the finish line, you have the pictures of, basically just you, but they also would have from the whole finish line. So you would see the actual finish line and the time and like all the people running through. And so Marathon Photo always had those kinds of pictures. And, I liked those too. And they even used to have video for the halves and for some of the 10Ks. So the PhotoPass doesn't have that at all. They're all just like the close-up things. And I thought they were going to, because I thought I saw people up there, but they weren't. I haven't had that for any of the races. So
I forgot about the video. I forgot they used to take video.
Yeah, because that was from my first half. That was the coolest thing, because my video that wasn't they announced your name, so my name was like not in the video that they had, so I had contacted them and they found it. So I have video of me crossing the finish line, and they're like, "And Heather Winfield, crossing the finish line." So it's really cool. So they sometimes had them by, like, when you would run through the castle and those kinds of things. But PhotoPass hasn't had any of that. Which, it's fine, but it's just like, I like that sometimes.
I wonder
you had to pay,
because even if you had like a video, you could then pull a still from the video if you didn't like your finish line photos.
Well, they were those kind of, that I was saying, that were like pulled out, not close up kind of thing. But so it was still cool to have it. I could see, and I could show you. I have, I don't know if I have it uploaded anywhere or not, but it was just,
because I know a local race that just did a local 5K for the 4th of July. They had video that you could go and you would pull in your name, and then it would find where you finished and show like 30 seconds of that time, like before and after you had finished, and then it would give you that like 30-second of video.
Yeah, that's basically like what it was, and that's why mine was a little bit off. So I'd contact them and they fixed it. So I had that one. But that usually when you wanted the video, it was like you had to pay more. But again, like that first time, I was just like, give me everything.
I wonder if that's something that they'll eventually add with all of the technology and the features that Disney PhotoPass is adding to their offerings. I wonder if they'll add videos down the road.
Maybe, once they work out the kinks.
Yeah. I think it would be fun. I like the multimedia stuff. It's always good.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about picture quality?
The quality, I think, overall has been much better. I know even like the megapixels and stuff of the pictures are better compared to the marathon photos. From what I understand, the marathon photo, it was like their own camera, the photographers, I think. So, the PhotoPass, it's their, the same cameras they use around the parks.
Right.
Yeah. So, and they, they've been trained for that. And I really do think that they've done a better job. Most of my pictures, you're still going to have the pictures that aren't good, but overall there's more that, like the reason they're not good is people running in front of me or whatever reason.
Not because of the photographer necessarily.
No. Yeah, no. The lighting really helps. The lighting that they have set up.
So tell me what the lighting is. Is it just big like floodlights, or is it the lighting that's on Main Street? Turned on bright?
They put out those floodlights because I can even show you we could post like a picture of this on Main Street that I did a race, the Star Wars 10K that I did a couple of years last year at Disneyland, running down Main Street, and you could sort of see that there's lights behind me, on Main Street, but then I ran and it was just as dark, I remember, and it's just completely lit up because they had the lights out there. So it's a huge difference.
Okay.
Now, see, when you're me and you're in F Corral, it's pretty much daylight.
No, I was this was a 5K. I was higher than 5K. So when I ran down Main Street, it was light out. I'm not fast. Don't think even though because I did all these races, I'm fast. I'm not.
I was like, when you're in the back of the pack, it's already daylight.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Like there were no lights.
I don't need lights. I have sun.
Stephanie, tell me, I would be interested in hearing when you saw how many PhotoPass photos you had from your race, were you excited and happy, or were you kind of disappointed?
I was pretty happy with the amount. I didn't realize how many along the route there going to be. Now, they were all in the park. There was none out on in Anaheim, which is probably good because I wasn't looking too good at that point. But I was pretty impressed with how many there were. I think there was a couple more around Paradise Pier that I might not have gotten been in the foreground because I kind of made a beeline over. First, I wanted to take a picture in front of the Little Mermaid, and then I took a beeline over to in front of the lagoon because they had the fountains going. And so I think they had a photographer there, but at that point I knew I needed to kind of keep myself moving to stay at the pace. And so I just did a quick selfie, and then there was another couple of runners that were taking pictures. And so we did the whole, I'll take yours, you take mine. And so that was on my camera. And then there were some past photographers with some characters in California Adventure. And again, I just did a quick selfie because the line was too long. But I was pretty impressed with the amount I got. And, as far as the quality, I think they look great. I may not, but that's not their fault. So I mean, for my first race, I was pretty happy with it. And the ones that I really wanted, that I'm like thrilled to death with, are the ones in front of the castle. Because that's pretty much why I did it, was to be able to get
those
that
ones
shot.
Are hard to get good shots.
Yeah, I don't have any good ones from this.
Depending on how many people are running through, it's too congested. Like you have to kind of sit back and wait for there to be like a little bit of a break, and then be like, "Yes, this is my shot." Like,
so the going to the castle is congested, but I took one it's at the partner statue, so it's right at the partner statue with the castle in the back, and so that one
that's good.
I was they took a couple with mine, and then the PhotoPass photographer took a couple, and they're all great. So I was really, really happy with them. Okay. I'm like, that's pretty much why I did it. Was
right. For that one shot. That's so funny. I didn't realize that they had PhotoPass photographers at the characters too.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Heather. Yeah,
I got all excited.
She heard the word character. She's jumping in. Go for it, Heather.
Okay, Heather's gonna hate me. I didn't stop for any characters.
You did. Well, that's to each their own, right, Heather?
Mine was basically to make sure I could finish.
Yeah, no, I feel like your first race, especially because you don't know how it's gonna go. Like, I think the first 10K I did, because I was scared I wasn't going to finish because I'm not a runner at all, that I stopped. I only stopped for one character, and it was only because Heather was already at the front of that line. Like,
Yeah.
otherwise I wouldn't have stopped because I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Like, I don't,
Right.
you know, you never know.
Yeah, so I didn't. I think I took a picture of the where Tinkerbell was near the Matterhorn, and then the one in California Adventure, it was Chip and Dale and Goofy, and so I just did a quick selfie in front of them with like some random person who was getting their picture taken.
That counts.
What I should have done is stood in front of like where they were and taken the selfies to kind of like
block
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
but it was too early to think.
Right.
So yeah, but I thought that there were PhotoPass people at the characters.
Heather,
But Heather wrong.
we're deferring to Heather.
Let's
Yeah.
defer to the expert.
This at Disney World, they're pretty much at every character stop.
Okay.
At Disneyland, they tend to have more of what they call selfie spots, which I hate because I'm awful at taking selfies. So it's worthless. to take
I'm
a
bad at
selfie
it
with the character.
too.
And so there was like, it felt like half the characters, probably wasn't that many, but I can't start counting through my head. But there was a bunch at this race weekend that they had out. They had on the omnibus for the 10K, they had several of the Pooh characters on the omnibus. It was really adorable.
Cute.
And I took a picture of it, but there was a really nasty cast member there who was screaming at you that you couldn't stop and take have somebody take a picture of you. They're like, it's just selfies because it's faster. But I keep my phone in an armband. So in order for me to take a picture, I either have my camera out and it'd be like quick picture, or I have to like go take my camera out, take the thing, switch it around. Like it would take so much longer for me to take a selfie than it would to say, so that was, but then the next day in the same spot, they had the Robin Hood characters on the omnibus. And I'm not taking a picture with the Robin Hood characters.
Yeah.
So thankfully it wasn't the same cast member. So they were just like, oh, it's a selfie place. But people were stopping and I found someone to take my picture and I took a picture of her. So I got a picture with them. And there was one they had in Fantasyland. They had Pinocchio and Geppetto. And so I got sort of a picture with Geppetto. And in the half, they had the Three Caballeros on their float from the Viva Navidad thing. And again, I was not going to not get a picture there. So someone took a picture for me. So that was good. But those are the kind of places where they didn't have PhotoPass. But I think most of the other ones generally will have PhotoPass. But I still would recommend have something. If you want to get pictures with characters, either have your phone, or I have a small camera that I use just for my races. So, because just in case. They also sometimes have like not, characters, but other kind of things or like entertainment. Yeah. So that like if you want to get pictures with I've had other races where they had the Festival of the Lion King, performers out, or they had on these races, which made me so happy. They had on the trolley, they had the newsboys hanging out of it, and she got to take a picture with it, and I was so happy. It was like a really bad race for me, and I was just like, "You're my favorite. I love you."
And then she fainted in front of them.
They probably never get that, so they probably love it.
No, yeah. So I was so excited, and so that didn't have PhotoPass. So that's like the kind of thing you still should have something if you want to take pictures. But usually, most of the time, the pictures on their camera will come out. Like I said, that Star Wars one, I think they were figuring things out. So the one on my camera, of the few characters they had out, came out better than the one they took on their camera. But otherwise, it usually is good because it's a weird lighting sometimes because it could be dark out, and then it's that weird time where it's between where it's dark and it's getting light, and
dawn,
and it's just
dawn. Dusk is at night. Dawn is in the morning.
What is dawn?
And so it's like that weird setting. Like, do you have the flash on your camera? Do you not have? And so usually their cameras are fine. So have that backup is nice. And the thing that we haven't even really mentioned about is how with the PhotoPass, like you said, it's if you have an annual pass that has it, or you have Memory Maker, but Disneyland, the PhotoPass, it's included. You don't pay extra. And with the marathon photo, you paid extra for each race, for each person, in your family or your friends group or whatever.
It wasn't cheap either.
No, I mean, yeah, it was.
And I'm
like
sure they didn't have a package.
$70.
I'm sure there wasn't like a package. If you pay, X amount, you get all of your photos. Either,
well,
I'm sure.
Yeah, they had. That's what I always would get was for the picture for the race. So it was like a race would be like $60, $70 depending on what you were talking about.
Wow.
And then they would have, if you did a challenge, they would have one for like the 10K and the half. So that one would be like $100 plus. And they would have, if you pre-ordered, you got like a little bit of a discount, but.
And you'd be lucky if you got like 2 solid photos of like just you.
Yeah, I mean, it
without
was
somebody in front of you or crazy.
But so that's what so if you're doing several races, because like let's say I would do a race and my mom would be doing like a race, so it would be the thing: do I want to pay for all of them? Do I want to because I always had to buy her race pictures. I think she should do just like a podcast on her race pictures.
She takes the best race photos.
They are awesome. I get so jealous.
Yeah, she does look really good.
I can Photoshop my face onto her. It's just like she did such a good job with this. So I always have to buy her race pictures, so it adds up. So now it doesn't add up because they're basically free if you have that. So that's obviously, I think, the best perk of it.
For sure.
You were saying to go back about the number of pictures.
Yeah.
And so I do think that there are some places where they have more photographers, I've noticed, since they did PhotoPass. Like when I've done races at Disneyland, they had photographers this weekend actually standing in the middle of Main Street. So you would be running, and so you never saw that before.
That's
so
cool.
You're running,
that wasn't there.
And like they had, you could sort of see the cat. I mean, again, my pictures, of course, didn't come out because there'd be people running, in front or whatever. But the idea of it was cool, And when I did races at the Star Wars one, and they had, when you were running under Spaceship Earth, they had 5 or 6 photographers just all in a row taking pictures. And so you were pretty much guaranteed you were going to be getting a picture with that. So, and it is pretty much just in the park. And like at the finish line and the Disneyland half, you run through the ballpark, which is pretty much the reason why I did it, and at Angel Stadium, and that was really cool. That was one of my favorite things I've ever done. And they had photographers there, so outside the park, and they had it when you were running through the park. And I tried my hardest to make sure I got a good picture because I kind of ran in slow motion. So I was like nobody in front of me, and so I did get like a picture or two. That's like all I cared about. That was like my castle picture because it's impossible now for me pretty much to get a good castle picture, but I did it. So those are the only places other than the finish line and the parks that they had the photographers. But I do think they had more out overall. But they also normally they would have photographers out in the starting area and like when you're walking to the corrals, and then after the race when you get your medal, in between the time you're just walking in the finishing chute, you're not even like out yet, they would have photographers there just kind of yelling like, hold up your medal, and like you'd be holding 50 things in your hands, but it was still something that you got another medal picture, or before the race, before you got like all sweaty and gross, you get like this is my outfit picture. So I haven't seen that for either coast that I've done that with the PhotoPass. So
okay, no, wait a minute. Okay. Am I understanding right? You get your medal before you run the race?
No, after the race. Those are 2 separate things. I was saying before the race.
Steph's like, wait a minute, I can do this.
I can do this. I'll sign up and get a medal and then leave.
Sorry, I'm getting excited, so I'm like talking fast. Like before the race, there's a whole starting area, and it's more at Disney World. At Disneyland, it's just there isn't as much going on. I think in the starting area, it's just you go to your corral. It feels like to me, I don't know, but at Disney World, they have a whole area. They have characters out. That's why they're better in the starting area. But they have just photographers walking around when you're going. I know they had them at Disneyland too, because I know we've gotten pictures before we did a race and everything. So, and then when you're just walking to the corral, because it could be pretty far, and then period. Next thing is after the race, that's the medal part. So.
Okay, I'm with you now.
Okay, and and the other thing with the after the race with the medal. Speaking of, this is the other thing that I don't like that they've changed. They always used to have, after you finish the race, and you get your medal, you get like a food box and water and all that stuff. Then you go to get like your official medal picture, and they have all this stuff set up where you can go and get your picture. And they always used to have a backdrop that was specific for the race. So, you're doing like the Princess 5K. It said Princess 5K. It had the picture of the medal and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So since they've changed to this, they're all generic backgrounds, and it's just like a runDisney background. So I've also noticed, I think they have more of them, but I also noticed that a lot of people aren't getting their picture now, and it's probably because they're like, well, why do I need a generic picture, because I can get it anywhere else. So the lines are shorter.
Did you put a tag on the bottom that, because mine, because as you said that I pulled up mine. So yeah, it is a generic background, but they put a border across the bottom that had the Tink half marathon logo on it.
There's two issues I have with it. The one is like it can, depending on how the picture is taken, now it's going to either cover up like your outfit, it's going to cover up the fit. So. And the other thing is I've done 6 races, and I've had issues with that at 3 of the races. I did the 5K at the Star Wars race, and they put the 10K border on it. That
happened to a friend of mine. She did the half and they got the 10K. I was like, oh, call them up.
Well, it was worse when I did the 5K and they put the 10K, and I'm like, oh my God, because I'm like superstitious with this stuff. I'm like, but I didn't do it. Yeah, why does it say I did it? And I've had another ones where like they didn't, the 10K with this race weekend, one of the things they didn't contact me about, they didn't put any border on it at all. And then when you do a challenge, so if you do a 10K and a half, this race, it was a Dumbo Dare challenge. So they have separate lines. So if you want to do, the half picture, it's that one. And if you want to do the challenge. So I did in 3 different lines, because I also did the coast to coast to make sure I got a border for each one. And so the Dumbo Dare one hasn't shown up yet. So that's another one we're still waiting for.
And those border photos showed up like no earlier than like 5 days after the race.
Yeah.
Like they're at the top of the list on like when they showed up, which means they're the newest ones to show up. So they showed up like after our trip.
Yeah. And it's like, if you want to edit the picture, because sometimes it needs to be lighter, it needs to be brighter. I had, especially with the Star Wars races, I noticed a lot of them, the post pictures, maybe it was because of the sunlight, I don't know, it needed to be brighter. So, but then if you know how it is when they have the PhotoPass border on it, if you start changing what that looks like, it changes the board, it doesn't look right, so it's like harder to edit it. And I just really like the backdrop most races, if you see, that's what they do. They have the backdrop for the race. It's not, and it's just,
so backdrop instead of border.
Yeah, it's just obviously a cost-cutting thing, because now they don't have to print up, borders for each race. It's
lame.
Like, okay, yeah. So that's I guess probably too much.
People that run a lot of races need different backdrops, don't they know?
And the other thing too is, with Marathon Photo, they never would take the picture for you. So I would always ask the picture. So I would ask a person behind me to take it on my camera, because I always wanted, a picture.
Yeah.
So with PhotoPass, both times for the 5K, they were like, yeah, I'll take the picture. So I thought, okay, this is great. I don't have to ask somebody. But then starting with the 10K, they're like, no, we can't do it, or not allowed. And with the Star Wars 10K, the person behind me was like, I'm not going to take it because I'm not allowed. Like, no, you're allowed. It's just they're not allowed. So they wouldn't take it on my camera. And then, of course, that picture got lost. So it's like the first of all those 27 races I've done, the only time I don't have an official picture of me with my medal.
I wonder if it's timing or something. If they take it with their camera plus your camera, it delays all the racers that much.
Those lines get long. They do get
they don't. And that's the point. They don't get line. I mean, there was nobody. I mean, when I went to, I
walked up, they took the picture, walked away. It was, it was
easy.
Less than a minute.
Yeah, they I think they do have more of them, but they also, like I said, I just think a lot of people I noticed were just bypassing it because there's no point to, because they have other spots outside, because that's what they tell you. They're like, there's selfie spots outside. And I'm just like, just how, because I went to one and there was nobody. It was actually, I think the Dumbo Dare one. And there was nobody around at all. And that's why I asked her, can you take a picture for me? And she's like, I can, I'm not allowed. And and I was saying how none of my other ones had shown up yet at that point. My 5K and 10K hadn't, shown up. And she actually went to someone who was higher up than her. And she came over and she's like, well, go to guest relations. And I'm just like, I just want to make sure I have it. And, I didn't start with my whole sob story. I had ice on my knees. Like, I just want a picture.
And that's like, Heather would have started crying at that point. That's like crying time right after a race.
And so long story short, she's just like, I'll take this. So I did get a picture, but I can tell you that after the Star Wars half, it just sounds like, I love this, but look at all these problems I have. I actually fell during that race 2 miles in. I fell hard and I was really injured. And I was all bleeding. I stopped at every medical tent. It was awful. I was just like, this is how bad I was. I didn't even stop for characters after the race. I went right back to the room.
That's bad.
That's how bad I was. And so again, it was the whole thing. I just wanted the picture, and the photographer was really nasty to me. And but as soon as I was done, I started bawling. It was just everything combined from the race.
Yeah.
That was the straw that broke it. So that is usually that is what happened. I was just but yeah, so. It's how hard is it to take the picture?
Yeah, it sounds like to me, and I guess I haven't been to any races, so I don't really know, and so I really probably shouldn't weigh in, but it sounds like to me that maybe the lines are shorter because they're saying that because Tanya said that some of the lines do get long, so maybe they used to. They're super short now because they're saying that they can't. So everyone's thinking,
no, they always said they couldn't take it.
Oh, really?
They always said they couldn't. Yeah, that was the thing with the marathon photo. They never let you take it.
Okay.
So that's why I always would ask the person behind me, and they would be like, okay, and I'll take it of you, and that whole
marathon
thing.
Marathon photo never took pictures with your camera.
Okay.
They wouldn't touch your camera.
Okay. Okay.
So that's why when they had switched the PhotoPass and the 5K for both races, they were like, yeah, I'll take it. So I thought, this is great. So that's why it was weird. Then the other races, they didn't. And like I said, the lines, like Tanya was saying, the lines used to be long and they'd be all the way backed up and they would be yelling at you. There's more, spots, but they would all still be just as long. And that's why now 6 races that I've done since this, there's been practically no lines. That's why sometimes it wasn't even someone behind me to ask, to take the picture. So
interesting. Okay, is there anything else on your list that is urgent because we're about to our time, Heather?
No, I think we talked about how easy you have it on your app now, so you can. That was you couldn't do that before with the marathon photo. You had to wait.
Like a PhotoPass card. Yes. It's really easy.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Stephanie, what about you? Was there anything else you wanted to hit on?
I think that was it.
Okay. Great. Thank you for being here. Let's remind our listeners where they can find each of you. We have Heather Winfield here do you want to do your outro, Heather?
Yeah. My character site is I Love Characters, and it's heatherw.com/character. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I'm HeatherW25. And I have a Facebook page for my character site, and that's I Love Characters.
Perfect. Tanya?
I love characters. You can find me
in case you didn't get it yet.
In case you didn't know. You can find me on all social media at Tanya H666, and my my blog is everymagicmoment.com.
Okay, thank you. And then Stephanie?
You can find me at HainingMade.com. for paper crafting goodness.
Okay. All right. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next time on Capturing Magic.